Welcome everyone to Our Life. Thank you everyone for joining us today here in the studio. This show today is about rebuilding Houston. The weekend of the 25th of August, prior to that weekend rolling in, news reports were all over that we were going to get a hurricane by the name of Harvey. Houston was going to be on what they call the dirty side of this hurricane. So if you know anything about storms, you know if you're on the dirty side, it's gonna be a little rough. Houston, on a regular rain day, we're known for flooding, but I think in everyone's mind, we got a storm coming. We need to shelter down for a couple of days. We'll be okay. Sad to say, the weekend of the 25th, Hurricane Harvey rolled into Houston and devastated the fourth largest city in the United States. And right now we're at a rebuilding stage because we have so many people that don't have any place to live anymore. We have so many homeowners that their homes are literally underwater. We have people that own vehicles that no longer have vehicles. Mental illness plays a part because you have someone one day, you had everything. You had a home, a roof over your head, and in a matter of 24 hours, you have nothing. And this is all from one storm. So when I come back from my break, you're going to meet several people that are here with me today. My first person will be Insurance Diva CEO Brandy Jackson from Allstate Insurance. She'll be with us and we're going to talk about the importance of car insurance, home insurance, to help you get an understanding on what that means. Yes, we need car insurance, but when your car floods out in a major storm, what does that mean then? When you have a lien holder, if you don't have a lien holder and your car gets flooded out, what does that mean then? So we're going to come back from a quick break. We're going to start off with Brandy Jackson from Allstate Insurance. We're going to start removing the mask on rebuilding Houston, and we're going to continue on through this show with the process of trying to get some clarity, some understanding to what at this point do we need to do when we have lost everything in a matter of, 5 days? So we'll be right back and we'll start removing the mask on rebuilding Houston. Welcome back, everybody. I want everybody to help me welcome my friend, longtime friend, Brandy Jackson, Insurance Diva from Allstate Insurance.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me out. This is very important.
Yeah, very, because I don't know, they don't understand.
Yeah.
How things work, especially in this type of situation, how things work. So we're just going to jump right into it.
Okay.
I want you to give me some one-on-one basic classes for people. So my first question is, explain to us how car insurance works. If you have a lien holder or if you don't have a lien holder when your car floods out.
Great question, Monique. A lot of individuals were calling the agency when they lost everything, vehicles, homes, everything. And when it comes to your car, if you have a lien holder is basically the bank that financed your vehicle. They have the lien that's on your car until you've paid that car off. They have insurable interest in that vehicle, meaning they're the owner until you've paid it off. And you are required by most lien holders to have comprehensive and collision coverage.
Exactly.
The comprehensive is the coverage that will cover you in case of a flood. So if you did not have comprehensive, which is a coverage considered to be full coverages on your vehicle, then that would have caused you not to have the proper coverages to cover a flood on a vehicle.
So if the car would have got flooded, you didn't have this coverage, and you still have a lien holder, what do you do at that point?
Basically, you know, that's you would be in a very bad situation if that were to happen. I will say this, most lien holders require that you have full coverages on your vehicle, meaning you have to list them as a lien holder, and then you also have to provide them with proof that you have that type of coverage because they have the insurable interest in that car. So if you did not have the full coverages that they require, then you are still stuck paying a car note for a car that you no longer have.
Okay, so if the car is, you have insurance. And some people that have cars that are paid off
Yes.
still have full coverage.
Some people do, and most of the time when my clients call me and they say, you know what, Brandy, I paid this car off, I tell them, you know what, the car is still fairly new. I recommend that you have full coverages on this vehicle, so that in a case of a flood, in case of, you know, someone hits you and total your car out, and they don't have insurance, and you know, and you're stuck in a situation, you know, where you need that coverage, I recommend it, even if you own the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about GAP. Because I have GAP on my car.
Okay.
It does come in handy, but in a situation like this. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, GAP will not necessarily pay out. If they total the car out, GAP may or may not pick up everything. Or it might pick it up and you still won't have any extra money. Because most people think if they have GAP, oh, I got GAP insurance, I'm good. You know, I'm gonna take that $1,000 or $2,000 from that GAP and go give me another car. That's not necessarily the situation.
That's a misperception of GAP insurance. GAP insurance is basically a coverage that most finance companies, when you're financing your vehicle at the dealership, they will offer you GAP insurance. And it's very beneficial, especially if you're purchasing a brand new vehicle. So that way, because when you drive off the lot, your car depreciates at that moment. So it's imperative that you have something, because if you drive off the lot and the car depreciates and you get out there and you get into an accident, most of the time, what the Blue Book value of that vehicle is versus what you finance is going to be, there's going to be a gap in between that.
A big gap.
Yes. Okay. So it's very imperative that you have that coverage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go to, I'm going to take it a different direction.
Okay.
I'm going to try not to call nobody out. Let me see how I'm going to say this. When you have people and we have flood issues, and they just want a new car, and they want to go run the car through the water, because it's flooding, so we're just going to run the car through the water and we're going to get us a new car. Can you please explain to me how does that work? Because I tried to I'm not an insurance agent at all. But I do know that most vehicles have black boxes, just like planes and so forth and so on. Insurance companies can pull whatever data they need to see. So somebody said they're going to run their car through the flood because they want a new car. Okay, I said, run it through the flood. Let me know how that works out for you. Because in a situation that we had, insurance companies are not just going to pay out.
Absolutely.
Like that. So can you please explain, how did that work when you just going to decide to push it in the water and let it sit there and say it's okay?
My best piece of advice to individuals that think, you know, Hurricane Harvey is a come up for them. Unfortunately, I would not do anything like that, because there's so many pieces to that puzzle. You have an adjuster, you have people that are looking at so many dynamics that shows, did you drive the vehicle off in the water? Was the car actually flooded out? So to their surprise, it may not come out as they think that it would, you know, in the end, because if you owe more than what they're going to pay you on that vehicle, then you're stuck in a bad situation, meaning you don't have any money to go and purchase a new car. So I don't think that's a great idea for anyone to do that.
And they argue with me. How they gonna know that? The insurance company. I say, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
They will know.
That's not a good idea.
Okay, because we have some people like that.
Absolutely.
That their mind is. Now I'm gonna switch to homeowners. So let's go to a class on homeowners 101. Because, and I know, let me say this right. Don't get me wrong. Owning a home, and I'm going to say this to when my real estate people come on too as well, that's an investment. That's an investment for life. That is a very big investment. So, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to take anything away from that. But when you buy a home, and I'm going to discuss this with my real estate people as well, when you buy a home, you don't need to be buying a home just because the Joneses have a home or because, oh, this is a nice area, I want a home here. You need to research what you're buying, and when you get ready to fill out that paperwork for home, as a homeowner, you need to know homeowner's insurance. You need to know what type of insurance you need. I feel as a homeowner, because that's a big investment, you don't need to cut any costs. I don't want flood insurance. It don't flood in this area, so I'm going to wait because there'll be $200-300 less I have to pay. And then now look at what has happened to Houston, and it's close to 90% of people with no flood insurance?
Yeah.
So I think, give me some, when it comes to homeowners insurance, give me some education on that, because I think people, when they get ready to get a home, they're excited, it's new, and they're not paying attention to what the real estate agent is saying, what the insurance people are telling them.
Yes. Great point. And they did the statistics, and about 85% of people in the Houston area and surrounding areas did not cover a flood policy.
Oh, wow.
Did not have it. And I remember when I purchased my home, I bought a flood policy 15 years ago, and I never knew what it was for. They told me I didn't live in a flood zone, but I still got it anyway. And it was the best $300 that I spent for a peace of mind.
Because you had a tornado over your house during Hurricane Harvey.
Yes.
She got a whole tornado over her house.
Yes.
In her backyard.
Yes. So what I recommend when you're purchasing a home, get with a insurance professional and figure out what type of coverages you truly need. And a homeowner's insurance policy covers the dwelling. It covers your personal property. It covers, personal liability. A lot of people don't understand that flood is not covered in a homeowner's policy. Flood is not covered in a commercial policy. So if you own a business, you're going to need a separate flood policy as well. Homeowners insurance is basically to cover the home, your personal property. Anything, if you take the top of the house off and turn it over, that's your personal property. Personal liability, God forbid you had a car accident and somebody came after you and sued you. Personal liability is to cover you in a case of that, because it's personal liability. But flood is not covered, and a lot of people were not prepared for this. And each and every one of my clients that come to me, I always recommend to them, spend that $200 or $300 and get that flood policy, because nobody in the Houston area is safe, even if you're in a flood zone.
And understand how it works, because correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to go over this also with my real estate people. Flood insurance works in certain ways too. You have to have the right type of flood insurance, because if you don't have the right type of flood insurance, that's not going to cut it either.
Right, and that's true. So flood insurance covers water that comes from the curb inside of your home. So it has to come from the outside to the inside. Can't cover a pipe bursting inside of your home and flood your house out. It's outside to the inside of the house. When the adjusters come out, they will know if water came from the outside to the inside of the home. There is a 30-day waiting period. So from the day that you purchase flood insurance, there's a 30-day waiting period. I have had a slew of people since Harvey to call and purchase flood insurance, which is great because we're still in hurricane season.
Yeah.
It's very active. Hurricane season goes all the way through November.
Yeah.
So that's smart of the people that were not flooded to jump on top of it. Yes. But flood insurance is all governed by FEMA. There's not a will and deal on price. Everybody has the same price no matter what agency you go through. But it's definitely something to where you would want to look at and make sure you have the proper coverages as well. And that's your insurance agent's job to do, to make sure that you're properly covered.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
What would you say at this point when so many people did not have the proper coverage for the type of storm that we just went through? What would you say? I mean,
it's very heartbreaking, as I've been dealing with this for the last 3 weeks now, where I've been getting phone calls from clients saying that they've lost everything. I have cried. I have been up at night. I have, second guessed myself, what could I have done to make them get this coverage when I've recommended it? And the only thing that I can say, in this situation going forward, make sure that you have a great agent, someone that you trust, someone that you're going to believe in to make sure that you're getting the proper coverages that you need, because 85% of the people that are here are living out of hotels.
Yep.
They're having to file FEMA claims.
Yep.
There's a wait for that. Not to say that they're not going to help you, but
a lot of them are being denied.
a lot of the people are being denied, and it's almost to the point. That's what insurance is for. We want to make sure that you guys are indemnified, meaning we're going to bring you back to whole. That $300 that you would have spent for the year, you would already be taken care of as far as making sure, instead of being in a line with 85% of the other people. Yeah. So make sure that you have an agent that's going to recommend you the proper coverages.
The correct information.
Yeah.
Well, Brandy, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Very much for giving us this information, because I think at this point, it's going to take Houston a while.
Absolutely.
To get back on track. And when you think about the homes, the people that, what do you do?
Yeah, so, I've rode down so many neighborhoods and seen all the debris
on the side of the road.
And it's just heartbreaking, because as we're living our lives normally, we're getting up, going to work every day, dropping our children off at school. There are some people that are still living in hotels and living in shelters and things like that. And my heart goes out to them, because we were not prepared. And I want us to get prepared.
No, no, not for this one. We've had storms before here in Houston, but nothing like this. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Educating us on this. When we return, we'll be back with my real estate group, which is the Adolfo Group and TAS Realty Group, and we're going to get educated on these houses, the ones that are flooded now, if you're buying another house, however. So we'll be right back. We're back, and now in this segment I have my real estate gurus with me. We have the Adolph Group here with me, and I want to correct that because I've been calling them Adolfo for years. He's some real good friends of mine. I'm trying to to get them to change their name, but we working that out. But the 8-hour group is here with me. I love y'all to death. I know I do. And then we have Miss Wells here with TAS Realty Group. So these are my realtor gurus that's going to try to walk us through something. Because Hurricane Harvey, when it comes to homeowners, it hit them really, really hard. So I want to say welcome. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day to come and sit with me so we can try to educate somehow people on real estate. Like I said to Brandy from Allstate Insurance, I think when people buy homes and get ready to purchase a home, that's an investment for life. That is a big decision. That's like marrying somebody to me. And I think a lot of people, most of them are normally maybe in their 20s, 30s, they're young. They want a house like the Joneses. They want to live in this neighborhood. Half of them don't even have furniture to put in the house. They just happen to have a house. But to me, a lot of them miss the big point. What all you need to run that house 100%, especially in a situation like this when this stuff kind of happens. So I'm going to ask, and you guys can answer the questions both or either one of y'all. What, when you decide to become a homeowner, what is the most important thing you guys would say that you should know or question?
Well, when you decide to purchase a house, the first thing you need to do is make sure you know what your credit score is.
Most definitely that.
Yes, and that's the main decision. From there, of course, getting approved and making sure you can actually afford what you're trying to get into. So go to a mortgage professional, get qualified, and don't live above your means. That's the first thing. Because if something like this does happen and you don't have flood insurance, then what are you going to do?
You're stuck. You're stuck, pretty much stuck. Yeah, you have someone.
Pretty much the same thing. I know your credit score. That's so vital. A lot of us aren't aware of things that pop up on our credit. So if you know what's on your credit, you know your credit score, and also be familiar with your finances. A lot of people do want to live like the Joneses and don't realize what all it takes is the insurance, the taxes, and their monthly payment. Just be educated. That's the first thing.
Okay. So how would you guys say the location of the home as well as your home insurance, how does that play a part hand in hand? Because in Houston, they tell people this is not a flood zone. As we can see what just happened the weekend of August 25th, pretty much all of Houston flooded. Even, how can I say this nicely, where the reservoirs are. When you purchased your home in that area, you didn't know that was back there? Were you not aware of the potential from your real estate agent or even your home insurance, even if you got flood insurance? Were you aware that it could be a possibility they might have to let this water out and your house will be flooded? Did you look at, in my mind, as a homeowner, that's one thing I would look at. If I'm getting a house and it's by these reservoirs, what's the likelihood, that would be one of my questions, of my house being flooded out in the event this happened?
Well, in situations like that, you also have to, you can't always depend on your real estate agent. You have to do some homework yourself. You need to look at the area, see how often, until then, how often did it flood over there? Because a lot of times, even though you have those reservoirs, nothing that's man-made is guaranteed, because anything can bust and spread disaster at any time. So when you're doing things like that, you have to kind of look and see, is this a safe place? Did it flood? When's the last time heavy rain came? How high did it get? What was the precautions? When's the last time it's been maintenance? These are things as a homeowner that they should also take in responsibility for to help secure their families.
Okay.
I definitely agree. do your research. Absolutely. But some of those, that reservoir was actually there for over 70 years.
And that's what, I guess for me, when we talk about that, as a homeowner, I understand, again, it's an investment. I understand that you are upset to the highest of high at this point because the city had to make a decision, the best decision at what we were going through at that time to make. They made this decision to open up this. Your house got flooded out. But now you got lawsuits. We still rescuing people and you complaining. And it wasn't a time for that. And in the back of my mind, you're a homeowner. And how long did you just tell me this stuff was there?
70 years.
70 years. So when you bought your home 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you didn't know that was back there? And like you said, educate yourself. Research that whole environment. Get with the city and say, if something goes wrong, what's the likelihood of having you guys have to open this up? If you do that, then where am I as a homeowner in this situation? Because that's the questions now. And to me, with some people, it's like when Hurricane Harvey came, that's when they realized that was behind their house.
I don't really think that's what the case was, though. They knew it was there. But because it's been there for 70 years and it hasn't done anything, yes, they are assuming that nothing is going to happen, right? Because that's what history has told us. If they did do their research, if they didn't, that's what history has told us. But I don't really think those reservoirs were supposed to go. I really think that the city knew ahead of time, maybe years ahead of time, that it was getting over capacity.
And they were old, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, either rate, the original question about location and home insurance, of course, as Brandy told us in the earlier segment, that it does depend on the location as to, rates and if you are determined to be in the flood zone or not. But you, as a homeowner, should make a decision to either get flood insurance or don't. We live in Houston. Houston is extremely close to Galveston and the coast. So it will be very smart of you to get it because of where we are located.
How would you guys now at this point educate a new homeowner? Somebody in January wants to buy a home in Houston. How would you educate a new homeowner and even an old one? Someone that's owned their home now for maybe 20 years and now their whole house is underwater. How do you educate somebody on what do you do?
Well, the first thing I would do is to tell them, please hire a real estate agent. There's no money out of your pocket. And if you have somebody that's professional, that has ethics, that will help you walk through where the house is, through your contracts, hire a real estate professional. Second, start going to these home buying seminars. There's so many everywhere. A lot of them are free. Some you do have to pay, but you get what you pay for. That education is so valuable because it'll walk you step by step so you be prepared on going into your home loan. And third, it just rounds back. Even if you've been in your house a long time or just getting a house, you don't know what's on your credit. And that's the main thing. Well, unless you win $1 million and then you just call me and we could just pay cash.
You know what?
Easy.
What would you guys say the next move is at this point? Because half of Houston did not have flood insurance. These people have no homes. The entire house has been flooded. As Brandy explained before, flood insurance, home insurance works totally different. If you don't have flood insurance, FEMA's 9 times out of 10 not going to pay for it. What do you do? Because where does that even put you with your mortgage company? Where does that put you? Because I can call the mortgage company and say my house underwater. The mortgage company might give me a month and not pay my mortgage, but they're going to want their mortgage eventually. What do you do at this point?
Well, I know in the beginning, I know the mortgage companies are doing a 90-day forbearance
Oh, okay.
where they push 3 months of mortgage payments to the end of their loan. That's one step that they can do to help, and to get their life back on track. But if you lost your house and you do not have flood insurance, there are several things that you could do. I mean, there's SBA loans out there that can help you, but it really just depends on how much equity you have in your house, what you can do. There's HELOCs, home equity, well, I said home equity loans, but there's 203Ks and also 203Hs. And we can definitely go more into depth in those, but that's some options that they can
So,
have right now.
go ahead.
Well, when you talk about rebuilding, you've got to sit back and say, what do I want to rebuild? Do I really want to rebuild this? Do I really want to, how am I going to start over?
Yeah.
There are so many different options, depending on their situation, depending on the equity of their home. Not being insensitive, but there are investors out there that will pick up your home in the condition that it's in.
And buy it out.
And buy it out. You won't get top value for it, but you will get that out released from that loan. And what can happen is as Ms. Wells was speaking, they do have programs out there to rebuild, to buy a new home, and they have up to a year to do this.
But would that bring you totally out of the debt with the mortgage company?
Well, if you're going through the investor, what they're going to do is actually pay off what the loan is. So an investor they have to see what kind of equity is in the home, because what they're going to end up doing is find out after they rebuild it, what's the value of it then. Because it's not just one house. They have to look at the whole area, and right now there's so many areas that's underwater that there's going to be value going to drop a little bit.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is the investors can actually bring that value back up. So it can be a hand-in-hand situation, because as the homeowners are relinquishing their their property to these investors, these new loans are allowing them to start over in brand new homes. They may sit back, they can wait, like I say, 6 months just to reflect and say, what, is this really worth it? Am I going to chalk this up as a loss, or am I going to go ahead and try to fight this battle?
Well, that area, the area that your home was in, how big is that going to play when they look at buying the home, rebuilding it? If you want to rebuild on the same slab you was already on, how much is that going to? I don't want to say hurt, but how much is that going to play a factor, especially when it comes to your home insurance, flood insurance at this point? How is that going to play a factor now? Because especially if you want to rebuild in the same place where your house you're underwater.
Well, when you rebuild, as an investor, when you look at it, you have to look at the past market, the present market, and the future market. Because what's going to happen is some of these homes they're going to have to be torn down.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are going to have to be refurbished, because they have to get the mold out, they have to knock out these sheetrocks, these walls, and redo it. And honestly, it's going to take a day by day. Nobody can project exactly what's going to happen, but as of right now, the value until that area gets appraised, an asset, it's still holding its value until that first sale. That's when everything starts happening. Then you start seeing the domino effect, and then from there, it'll start rebuilding. Back in 2008, when the mortgage crisis hit, values dropped 40, 50, 60, almost $100,000 in different areas. But guess what? 7 years later, 8 years later, values are going back up.
Yeah. So how long do y'all see this process for us? Because like Brandy said before, we're still in hurricane season. I don't know what type of storms we got going on.
Right.
But it's like a clan of them, and they are off the chain. So, and like you said, we sit by the Gulf of Mexico. I just keep praying for a cold front so they can stay away. So where do y'all see that putting Houston and the mortgage industry? Because that's a lot of homes.
Well, yeah, it is a lot of homes that was affected by the storm, and we just have to take it day by day, like they were saying. We definitely have to take it day by day. We don't know what the future holds, but we're Houston, and we have really been there for each other, and we're rebuilding. We're rebuilding. We're helping everybody as much as we can, and us as real estate agents, we have the resources. We have the information. So get with a professional and see how they can help you. Because we have investors, like you say. You have investors. I mean, we all have investors that can relieve these
stress.
Yes, absolutely. And we have resources as well with mortgage companies, relationships, and we know what could be best for them in their particular situation. But they are the ones who have to make the ultimate decision on what they want to do and what's best for them and their families.
We can definitely probably say the cost of apartments, because now so many people have to move into apartments. That will go up. We already know your home insurance, car insurance, that's going to go up. And mortgage, when you do get another mortgage, it's not going to be cheap.
Well, definitely, because the storm did so much damage to the materials, and prices of the homes are going to go up. But it's a day by day, and you have to take it day by day.
And not let it overwhelm you.
Correct.
Because I think a lot of homeowners at this point is very overwhelmed.
They're stressed. They're confused. They don't know what to do right now.
Okay. Well, I want to thank all of you guys for coming and educating us a little bit on homes, because that is now a very big thing here in Houston. People are overwhelmed, don't know what direction to go, don't know what to do, filing bankruptcy, walking away, all that kind of stuff. So I want to thank you guys for coming and educating us on that. When we return, we'll be back with Miss Princess Jackson, and we're going to talk about the importance of giving, because true enough, Houston has been through a lot, but I think it's very important also to give back. You can't just sit around and wait for it to come to you. I think it's always good to give back. So we're going to be back with Miss Princess Jackson. She's going to tell us why it's important from a 14-year-old perspective on giving back, and maybe my adults will learn something. So we'll be right back. We're back now, and I have Miss Princess Jackson from Sock Out Poverty here with me. So I want everybody to welcome her. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I was so happy to meet you that day, because it's not that often do you see a young teenager wanting to give back and do anything in the community at all. It's normally young kids are video gaming and doing stuff they have no business.
Yeah.
And I was amazed and thrown back by that. So, and I know you're not nervous.
No.
Yeah, you sit up here. She's sitting up here like she's nervous. She's not nervous at all. But tell me, I know we talked briefly when I met you. How old were you? Because you're 14 now.
Yes.
How old were you when you decided to do something like this?
I was 9 years old when I started, and it all started when me and my mom was downtown under the bridge handing out blankets to the homeless people. And I saw them with blankets, shoes with holes in them, but they needed socks to help keep them warm. So I wanted to give back to the community by handing out socks and encourage more people to give back to the community.
You started this at 9.
Mm-hmm.
For a 9-year-old, you just told your mom, they need socks, Mom. Or did your mom say, did she give you the idea? Or it just, this little idea just came in your head and said, Mom, they need socks?
Yeah, it just came into
At
my
9.
head, like with just seeing them laying on the ground, and I was like, he has shoes with holes in them, but he's still cold. And I was like, Mom, he needs some socks. And I really have a fondness for socks. I really like socks.
Why do you like socks?
They're comfortable, and with the little colors, I just like really like them.
You got a sock fetish. You got a sock fetish. That's what that is. What is the main goal for your project? Because you've been doing, how long has Sock Out Poverty? Is 9 years old when you started it, or you waited a little later to start that project?
It was right then and there. It wasn't like too long after I told my mom that I wanted to do it.
So you've been doing this now for several years.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the main, what do you see the main goal? Where do you see it going? Where do you want it to go?
Our goal is to go global and sock out poverty all over the world and help more people. So far, our first out-of-state campaign was in Atlanta, Georgia, and in December we're planning on going to California.
Okay, what part? LA?
LA, yes.
Okay. Okay, good deal. What do you, you've been, let me give you a little history, because like I said, she's not nervous. Don't let her fool you. This young lady has been on the Steve Harvey Show and recognized for her organization. You just recently did something, correct me if I'm wrong, you just recently did something with Floyd Mayweather.
Yes.
With socks, where he's putting, his logo is what, TMT on the socks as well. We have some clips of that, so we'll show that later on. But you are out there, sister, baby. I'm just so I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I just met you, but I'm very proud of you because it's not that many kids that would take that initiative. They'll start it as a hobby and then it'll just fade off. And normally it's something that the parents are driving them to do. But I've met you previously before this. So your mom doesn't drive you to do this because social media, baby, she's on it. This little girl right here. So what do you think adults can learn from this, from a young person like yourself? Because adults do give back. But we don't. Some of us don't give back in the right ways. Or we give back for a different agenda. We always have some kind of hidden agenda on why we're giving back or why we're doing something to help. You're doing it and it's straight out genuine. That's how I take it. It's not because you're looking for something in return. It's because this is what you wanted to do and this is what you saw they needed at the age of 9 years old. So what do you think we can learn from you at 14 with giving?
Adults can learn to not be selfish and learn how to love others and give back to others and continue with their goals and try to accomplish them.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in a few years? Because you have a brand. You have a brand at 4. I'm going to just outright say it. I don't know. Her mom is here in the audience. You have done a wonderful, marvelous job with this young lady. So to me, you have a brand. So where are you taking this brand? Because you have a brand at 14 years old.
Yeah, we're thinking about, just expanding and helping more people all over the world. And that's our goal. So, and as an actress, I see myself in 10 years on a big movie screen.
So is that really your number one passion? Acting? You want to be an actress? Okay. Okay. Do you model now? You do a little bit of modeling, do? Yeah.
Yes. Recently, I've been on the Academy and Outdoors display for the BCG girls.
Okay. See, 14, seeing a little bit of everything, but number one is that you have not lost the value and the understanding of how important it is to give back. especially in a time, and you were giving back because you do this all the time, not when it's a crisis. So I want to make that known. She gives back all the time. It's not when it's a crisis. Are you planning on sending anything out to Florida and doing some socks out there for Hurricane Irma? Are you planning on doing anything for that one, or just right now you're focused here in Houston because you're from Houston?
Well, like I said, we're still thinking about expanding, so maybe going to Florida will be an idea that we have.
Okay. Okay, well, I want to say thank you so very much for coming. I'm very, very proud of you, and you keep up the good work, because giving back is like number one, and you keep building your brand. And I'm going to be looking for you on that big screen. Please don't act like you don't know who I am. So thank you for coming. I want everybody to thank Ms. Princess Jackson for being here with us. Look out for her in the future, because you will see this name and this face, I guarantee you, a whole lot. A whole lot. It goes back to giving, and she's on that path to where else she needs to go. So thank you very much for being here with us. When I return, our last segment is going to be on mental health. We cannot leave Hurricane Harvey without exploring and discussing mental health and people's health status mentally at this point, going through having something one day and the next day you have nothing. So we'll return to this last segment on mental health.
There's pain. Right now, there's a lot of pain. People are hurting. They're confused. Children confused. Mama and women going home. Dad and women going home. There is no home to go to. How do you explain that to your child?
The most powerful storm to hit the U.S. in more than a decade. FEMA is now warning Texas is about to have a, quote, very significant disaster.
Tens of thousands calling for help, needing rescue, neighbors and strangers stepping in to help. The disaster here is staggering by every measure. More than 2,500 rescues, 3,000 state and National Guard service members activated. The National Weather Service already calling the storm unprecedented and beyond anything experienced.
Welcome back, everybody. We're in this last segment of Rebuilding Houston, and I cannot end this show without discussing mental health. Mental health is very important, not just when you go through storms on a daily basis. And that's one thing that's very, very important to me. So we're back, and I have Miss Glenda from Pearls of Change with me. So help me welcome her. We're going to talk about mental health when it comes to going through a storm like we've gone through, and a lot of people have lost a lot of things and have been displaced from being an adult to a child being displaced. So welcome, Ms. Glenda, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Coming. Tell me one thing that got you interested in mental health, because mental health is something as African Americans we ignore. So for you to want to get into that field, what was the one thing? Can you give me one?
Absolutely.
I know you can give me about 10,
right?
but give me one thing.
But I would definitely give you the one most important thing, and that was my own personal struggle with depression at the age of 22. I was depressed, but I didn't know that I was depressed. When I look back at it, yes, very depressed, but you know, in that time period, it wasn't talked about. You don't know what to look for. You don't even know how to communicate it to someone else. You just know that there's an imbalance within yourself, and it's not right. It's not your normal. So that's what brought me to the profession that I'm in.
And that's I think that's a wonderful profession that more people need to get educated in and invest in and work in. Tell us about Pearls of Change, because that's your baby.
That's my baby. That is. Pearls of Change is my baby. So I founded Pearls of Change in 2013 to educate and raise awareness over mental health. But Pearls of Change is so much bigger than just a name or an advocacy, program or outreach within the community, I want you all to kind of think about how a pearl is created. It's not formed on a tree.
No.
It's not, planted and we see it upright. A pearl is actually created within an oyster, and there's a biological process that takes place when a pearl is actually created. The oyster is protecting itself against a foreign substance. So here it is. Think in terms of us as individuals. Something takes place in your life that shifts you. And what do? You go in protection mode.
Yeah.
I shut off from the world. I don't want to talk about anything that's bothering me. So my goal is to make sure that we as individuals understand that we are all pearls, and through change, something beautiful can take place.
I love that.
Thank you.
I like that. I really like that. Hurricane Harvey. It's been, I think, 3 weeks.
Yes.
It's gone. I think he's gone. I don't, because they are like ridiculous. So I think he's gone. Where do you think some people's mental status is right now?
Well, I can definitely tell you firsthand, there's a lot of individuals that I'm very close to, and I can speak about my mother. A lot of individuals are suffering with emotional distress. That is something that, is very prevalent after a traumatic event. Here it is, you have so many people that have lost everything that they own. I mean, you've been told, I have to leave right now, but you're leaving with absolutely nothing. That's traumatic within itself. Being rescued on a helicopter or a boat and taken away from, again, your home life, your environment. So how do you cope with that? Emotional distress, depression, anxiety. So many people are displaced. You're spending more of your time in a hotel room than your actual home. And then I was listening to the realtors talk about how there's anywhere from 6 to 9 months before you can get back in your home.
Yeah.
So that's a severe onset of depression, not being able to return to your sense of normalcy. So we definitely want to understand that right now is a very sensitive time in the city of Houston and all of our surrounding areas.
Because when you go through depression, you're going to go through different stages of it.
Absolutely, you do.
So you're going to be angry. You're going to be sad. You're going to be cry. You're going to probably make decisions that
you wouldn't normally make.
That you wouldn't normally
Yes.
make at all. How do you, because you also work with kids.
I do. I'm also a counselor, an at-risk counselor in KDISD, and I work at a high school.
So how do you think this is also affecting kids? Because to me, children should never be put in a position, in an adult's position. I think children should never know certain things that adults have to deal with. But unfortunately, in this day and time, kids are there. Kids are real educated now. So it's like they're in the midst of whatever's going on in the household. So how do you explain to a little kid, one day you got to be evacuated out the house, and then now you guys are living in a shelter? Because I volunteered for Katrina. And never in my life, when I walked into the George R. Brown years ago, and it's 10 years now, all I saw was cots.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I worked in the daycare that they had set up. This little boy refused to eat. His mother left him at the daycare to go to triage and do whatever they were allowing him to do at the time. He refused to eat. I took this little child, and he knew where his cot was. And I walked him to the cot because he was looking for his parents.
Right.
And that just broke my heart. And I'm like, and I saw kids in shelters having birthday parties. Their parents was going to the store down the street and getting them cakes. That is just, where is a child's mental status with that? How do you help them to understand is temporary. Because in a sense, it is temporary. We just don't know how do you help a kid understand that?
So what you do most importantly when you're dealing with children after a post-traumatic event takes communicate with them most importantly. Don't shut them out because children have an opinion and they suffer from depression as well. You will notice in a child that they're more quiet than normal. They won't be as active. And in the school setting, most importantly, lack of participation. Some kids may act out, form a higher level of aggression within the classroom setting or with their peers because of what they're dealing with. So what we want to do as adults and professionals in the industry and, that are interacting with a lot of children is you want to make them feel as though they do have a safe place. And whether that safe place is at that Georgia Brown Convention Center, how you stated, you saw so many individuals having birthday parties and bringing things in. That was a great thing for them to do because as soon as you can get them back to their sense of normalcy, and if it is celebrating a birthday, that's the best thing that you can do. Don't strip them of their opinions and their emotions because they are valid. And as you stated, a lot of kids were faced with being put in adult-like situations because a lot of kids were, hey, help me move this furniture really quickly before the waters come in too fast. And instantly those kids are left with having to think, okay, what am I going to do? What do I do? So they're valued, and let them feel like they're valued. Listen to some of the concerns that they have. If it is something as simple as where we're staying at the moment are the shoes that I'm having to wear, talk to them about it. Communicating with them is going to help them make sense of what their moment is at this period of time.
I want to do a correction. I did. I said George R. Brown. It was the Astrodome when Katrina happened here in Houston. So that's where I was. Sorry about that. It was the Astrodome when Katrina happened. What would you say, so we can close out this segment, that as a community for Houston, as we rebuild, try to rebuild Houston, pick up our lives and go back to some normalcy, what would you say as a community we need to do when it comes to mental health?
As a community, what we really need to do is make sure that we're educated on the resources that are out there for us. The different, agencies that are offering free mental health examinations to kind of check yourself to see where you are, what's offered in your direct community to make sure that you know where to go. It's very important that we understand that this is not something that we should try to pray away.
No.
Or think it's going to go away on its own. If you're struggling and if you're depressed and if you have those symptoms, also know the symptoms to look for. If you are experiencing loss of appetite, a little bit more agitatedness than normal. Your mood swings are adjusting. You very well may be suffering from depression, and you definitely want to make sure that you utilize the resources that are out there. Just to name a few, Mental Health America is a really big one, but NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illnesses, is really large in the Houston area, and they also offer a lot of training classes, a lot of resources that are free in the city of Houston. And we have really, really, really big initiatives that we push, especially at this time right now. So again, within the community, make sure that you educate yourselves, you know where to find those resources, and that you are also a listening ear to someone around you.
Most definitely. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank
you
you for
will be
having
back because we're going to really explore mental health at a later date.
I look forward to it.
We definitely needed to get together today to try to educate people on mental health. We're going through this storm and this whole process, so thank you so very much for coming. I want to thank my studio audience for being here as well with me, and my TV world for being here, tuning into this. I hope everyone got some type of knowledge from my guest today when it comes to home insurance, car insurance, when it comes to buying a home, new, old, flood insurance, mental health
and definitely not least on the list, high on the list, giving back, because it's very, very important also to give back even when you're down. Try to give back in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So until next time, when we remove another mask, we're trying to get back on schedule here. So when we come back next time, when we remove another mask, keep it moving and stay positive. See you later.